in your market is to find out what services does your competition offer. Maybe your competition will give you a segue into some services that you didn't even know, I should probably do that too. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. They kind of open it up for you. Now, one thing we really have to kind of figure out, what is our competitive advantage? We just talked about a competitive advantage to the console. Your responsiveness is a competitive advantage to using you as opposed to using the console. What are other competitive advantages that may arise, as opposed to using you instead of another processor? One of the competitive advantages for these guys is that they can locate the people who can't be located. That is a competitive advantage. One of the competitive advantages for these ladies is, number one, your relationship with all of these other attorneys from your history of being in the business, right? That is a competitive advantage because a lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? So that is a competitive advantage. What is another competitive advantage? The simple fact that you know how to e-file now, which means you are now more responsive. Because now I'm serving the paper. A lot of attorneys are used to process servers who do not know how to e-file. They are used to process servers who do not know how to draft their own returns. But if you go ahead and sign up a server manager, right? Once you do that, and your returns start coming back looking like, oh wow, they look like a professional, like they've been serving papers for umpteen years. That is a competitive advantage. The fact that not only can I draft a return, I can serve the paper, I can draft a return, but then I can e-file it almost immediately, that is a competitive advantage.
You could even put it
on your market
file.
There are a lot of attorneys who don't know how to e-file. I told you, I am the paralegal for, he was a former chief prosecutor in the state of Texas. Back in the 1980s when they had the replacement player strike, the first NFL strike type stuff when they put the replacement players out there, he was the guy who got the deal signed to end the strike. He was a big-time attorney, big-time judge, big-time in the legal industry. Now he's back in the private sector doing his own thing. I am his paralegal now only because I was a process server for a friend of his. And I served some papers for him. And then he found out that I was a can-do kind of guy, and he asked me, could I do something? I said, yeah, I can do that. Can you e-file? Yeah, I can e-file. So he started sending me all the stuff that he needs to e-file. I just e-filed it for him. Then he said, hey, can you draft? Yeah, I can draft. Hey, can you? And next thing I know, I'm doing everything. The more things you can do, the more services you can provide, the more beneficial you are to your brand. The more valuable your brand becomes. Okay? Let's go to this next thing. When we are getting ready to try to get our pricing together for our different services, we have to realize that there is a difference between, perceived value and actual value. The perceived value is buy one, get one free. The perceived value is 50% off. The actual value is telling me, man, I must have been double charged for the first one in order for them to give me the second one for free. Because ain't nobody gonna take a loss. Nobody's gonna lose money on the deal. There is a difference between actual value and the perceived value. People do not have to get a good deal. They just have to feel like they're getting a good deal. And this is why I will not make price my selling point. Because if you get in there making price your selling point, now you always have to be the lowest price in order to get the sale. Hell, I don't want to have to be the lowest price all the time. How do I increase my perceived value? You have to add more value-added services. And so this just rounds out what we were just talking about. Ben was saying, why? Yeah, I can put the fact that I e-file on my marketing materials, on my card and stuff. Well, that just increased your perceived value and your actual value. That just increased. Although e-filing don't cost you nothing, you e-file for free. It actually saves you money by e-filing. But you can go charge an extra $5, $10 just because you e-file on every serve, just because. You know? Yeah. You know, and see, this is where I was telling everybody to go to texasahead.org, do the market-based pricing, but we've already done that, so we're ahead of the game. All right. Oh, beautiful. Marketing and sales. I've already kind of talked about this a little bit, but what I want to tell you guys is that, so my background, finance, accounting, taxation, but marketing is what I've done forever. I went to the School of Business and Management for high school, and then I went to the School of Business and Industry for college, where I was in a professional MBA program and all that kind of stuff, right? Marketing is my thing, right? In marketing, there's two different types of sales. The first is that cold call, right? Excuse me, pardon me, I was wondering if you would possibly need some help or whatever, right? That that cold call is called an unqualified sale. This is because you don't know it's a shot in the dark, right? It's an unqualified sale. What we want to do as marketeers, as business owners, is move from unqualified sales, us out there begging people, excuse me, I was wondering if I'm new to the area, that move from there to having qualified sales. A qualified sale is that person calling you ready to do business. All they want to know is when, where, how much. Majority of you guys, when you guys signed up for the class, when you signed up to come today, I didn't call y'all saying, excuse me, hey, were y'all interested in taking some continuing education? Now what I did do is I sent y'all a whole bunch of damn emails, right? Y'all got email like a couple times a week. You know, every day this last week y'all got an email. Weeks before y'all would receive an email. And y'all looked at that email and was like, damn, this is something that I want to do, this is something that I need to do. And then y'all called. The majority of y'all called. Some of y'all should have called, but the majority of y'all called. And then when you called and found out, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what